Good morning everybody. So it's Wednesday and today it is Bizee Women. Bizee Women is a networking group that I go to 3 times a month. This group that I'm at today is the Wickford meeting and it's a networking group basically for women who want to promote their business and help grow their business by working together. So every month we have a 10-minute spotlight where one of our members can spend a little bit longer talking about their business and about them or whatever they want to really. And today is my day to deliver my 10-minute spotlight. So I thought I'd bring you with me and you get to watch from the other side of the camera. So let's go in. So, hello everybody. I'm Claire McInnes from Beautiful Things. We offer craft and sewing classes from our studio in Ingrave in Brentwood. So I thought rather than tell you all about what we do as a company, I'd actually tell you a little bit more about me as a person and how I got to be doing what I'm doing now. So since I was a very, very small girl living at home with my parents, I've always had a really great interest in all things crafty. In fact, when I'd been naughty, which was quite often, my parents would send me to my room as a punishment. But actually that didn't work because you see, in my room was my desk, and in my desk was my pens, my glue, my paper, my sticking, everything that I loved. And so I would just quite happily spend ages in there crafting away and come out with some creation at the end of my punishment. So one of my mum's favourite memories was actually when I appeared out of my bedroom and asked her to come out into the garden. And in the front garden I'd taken a huge cardboard box and turned it into a plane. I'd drawn the circles on the wings. It was like a kind of wartime fighter. It was the middle of summer, I might add, and I had a woolly hat on my head with a pair of socks shoved up the inside, hanging down over my ears, and my swimming goggles on my head because I decided that that day I wanted to be Biggles. So I started doing craft fairs in about 2002. I was with my husband Stuart at the time, and I was living in shared accommodation in a rented room, and he would often go away for the weekend and do really nerdy like gaming stuff with his friends and leave me on my lonesome. Bearing in mind we were in the middle of a little village, I didn't drive at the time and I couldn't get anywhere. It was really quite boring, so I'd started to make cards. And my friend Claire Fish persuaded me to have a stall at the Brentwood Centre with various cards and bits, and it's really gone on from there. So in 2004 we bought our first house, and the most amazing selling point for me was that there was a lovely bright yellow shed at the end of the garden. It was falling down, but even though it was the middle of winter, I decided that never mind the house, which was also in a bit of a state, I was going to get this shed sorted so that I would have my own space. So we plastered the inside, put power down there, and all of the plasterboard was basically holding the outside up. But it was my little space, my little haven where I could go and craft and create my products. It gave me the opportunity to then try all sorts of crafts. I did glass painting, contemporary art. That was also commissioned by the Slug and Lettuce in Brentwood. They commissioned me to do all their artworks when they refurbed their building. I went on to make soap and bath bombs, amongst other things. But a rather busy farmer's market 7 weeks before I was due to have my son Tom didn't help towards his early arrival. And as a result, the soap making had to stop. However, I did carry on with cards. I was selling them to colleagues at work, craft fairs, various shopping and pamper nights. But in 2007, something changed. My mum bought me a John Lewis Mini sewing machine in order that I could sew on cards, which was becoming the fashion. But it soon made me realise that I could actually make real things with it. And I then branched into making bunting, purses, aprons, cushions, etc, etc. At the time I used to use vintage fabrics, and I used to upcycle old clothes and bedding. It was very much the thing to do. This continued for about 3 or 4 years. I was selling at fairs, packing all my stuff up each time, selling via Facebook, and it was a hard slog. And as more and more people started doing similar things, and most of them just as a hobby, I realised that actually people weren't prepared to pay what an item was actually worth. And in both the time and the labour, it was actually impossible to make a living as a crafter. So I'd always wanted to set up a shop, to have my own physical place where I could be creative and fully release and realise my creative talents.
And then people started to talk to me about teaching. Being a firm believer that everything's worth a try, I decided to set up classes from home 2 nights a week. They were kept fairly small in the main. I lived in a 2-bedroom flat at the time, so you can only fit so many people around my dining room table. I'd kick my husband out to watch television in the bedroom, and he was also in charge of the children at that time too. It worked really well for me for a year or so, although the potential to earn any big money really wasn't there, as I was both limited to the time and the space. Oh. When my daughter Izzy came along in 2011, I was made redundant from my full-time job. I spent my first year working from home, taking orders from some of my existing customers and also teaching more classes. And then fortunately I won some funding for a community project from the local council, setting up the Brentwood bag project. This enabled me to work with local community groups, teaching them to make reusable bags from recycled materials and selling them into local shops so that they could raise funds for their own community groups. It was during this time that my eldest son Tom started primary school, and I met a man at the school gates with a Mohican haircut. He was planning on opening a children's bookshop, and we got talking. I then went on to meet his lovely wife Natasha, and one thing led to another. In October 2012, they opened the Chicken and Frog bookshop in Brentwood in Ongar Road. They offered me a lovely corner in the shop to sell my wares during the day, and during the evening I could teach classes from the room at the back of their shop. This arrangement worked really well, but it was only a matter of months before a unit opened up at my local enterprise centre. I hadn't looked to be moving out of the shop, as I was extremely happy there, but sometimes things are sent to us for a reason, and this unit was just too perfect for me to turn down. So I bit the bullet, and BTHQ was born. 3.5 years later, we should say 4 years now, we're still teaching classes every week. We've got a core group of regular pupils, which is growing every year, and thanks to TV shows such as The Sewing Bee and Kirsty's Handmade Christmas, we're seeing more and more eager pupils coming to us each week. I really love being my own boss. Not only having to not answer to anyone else, it means I can work around my family. If my child has a school play or a sports day, I simply schedule my classes around them. It also means I'm rarely not working though, as I'm sure many of you also find. If I do get the chance of a holiday, I will often find myself replying to customers' emails from my sun lounger. But I love it. At BTHQ we teach all sorts of crafts, from sewing, dressmaking, crochet and other general crafts. We've got specialist tutors to teach knitting and patchwork, and occasionally we have guest tutors in to run specialist courses. Only a few months ago we welcomed Katie Assam to the studio, who is a very well-known textile artist. She ran a fabulous free machine embroidery course which was fully booked within days of it going online. She's now back again with us in April to do a more advanced course. I pride myself in ensuring that all of our clients not only have fun while they learn, but that they always go home with finished items. There is absolutely nothing worse than running a course and not completing what you set out to learn. We keep class numbers relatively small and of a shortish time frame in order that you get a really great learning experience. There is nothing worse than signing up to an 8-week course to find there's 10 pupils on the course and you only achieve 5 minutes of your teacher's time. Most people are unable to commit to a full 8 weeks and end up missing out on classes, and therefore they end up not learning much at all, which is where we differ drastically from adult education colleges. We can teach most things, and if we don't have the requisite skills in-house, then we will source the teachers to do so. I would stress that we have a very strict recruitment policy though, in order to ensure that all of our teachers are prepared to teach in the BTHQ way. We don't just teach classes though, we can also run events for you. Tomorrow I'm going to the Centre of Manufacturing Excellence in Dagenham to go and work with the NHS for the day, to go and teach some of their staff how to learn to sew. They're doing a skills day, so just as an example. We can do activity days, kids parties, and I also come to you in order to teach you something in a group or set up a mini studio. It's a business I'm proud of, and if you think it's crafty enough for me, then don't be afraid to ask. I love a challenge and I love to see people learning new skills. But BTHQ is so much more than just classes. I like nothing more than inspiring people to achieve a sense of personal accomplishment. Beautiful Things allows you to come and feel nurtured and encouraged to create something from start to finish that you can be eternally proud of. What better way to test the waters than to join us for one of our sewing machine driver's licence sessions, an hour and a half running the evenings, weekends and also midweek. The session's totally free of charge, and it's not only a great way to get to grips with the machine, but also to come and see our space, meet me properly and soak up the atmosphere. We guarantee you'll not only have a great time, but you'll leave with a sense of achievement and feeling really proud of your own abilities. And just for fun, you will also receive your very own sewing machine driver's licence. Once you're feeling inspired and you're ready to take the next step in your crafty self-discovery journey, then why not join us for one of our 4-week beginner sewing courses or our 1-day intensive session? Spend the day making a beautiful quilted storage box, a fully lined drawstring bag and a patchwork cushion with a zip. Once you're done, there'll be no stopping you.